Welcome back, students. Today, in this session, I'm going to discuss about some other chapters. Like in the last session, I have discussed regarding demand, elasticity of demand, and theory of consumer behavior. So today, I'm going to focus on supply, market mechanism or price mechanism, cost and revenue, chapters like these. Again, the same thing I would repeat. Firstly, you cover the basic concepts of all these chapters, the basic topics and the concepts which are straightforward, which are easy. First, you cover those, you study thoroughly. And if you understand those concepts, then there will be no problem in solving and answering and writing the answers for the high difficulty level questions. There will be no problem in answering those. Now, I'll discuss some certain questions from these chapters. Like firstly, I'll start with supply. See, in the chapter of supply, firstly, differences between stock and supply, the concepts. Then ex ante supply and ex post supply, that means intended supply and actual supply, the differences. Then you have determinants of supply, that means the factors determining, factors influencing supply. Then you have law of supply, individual supply, market supply. After that, you have the very easy concepts like extension of supply, contraction of supply, increase in supply, decrease in supply. That means movement along the supply curve and change in supply, shift of the supply curve. Then you have the reasons behind the upward slope of the supply curve. Exceptions to law of supply. And also time period and supply. Supply in the very short period or market period, which is vertical. Supply in short period, which is upward sloping but inelastic. Supply in the long period, which is upward sloping but elastic, flatter. These topics. Then you have elasticity of supply, where the definition, meaning, formula of price elasticity of supply, the various magnitudes of price elasticity of supply, that means 0, infinity, equal to 1, greater than 1, less than 1, all those concepts and the diagrams. Then you have the methods of measuring price elasticity of supply, percentage or proportionate method, and then the point or geometric method. When you are given a question regarding the point or geometric method, it can be a question of 6 marks, and you have to write the details of the 3 cases. Case 1, when you draw the steeper supply curve, steeper upward sloping supply curve, where ES is less than 1. Then you have to draw another one, the case 2, which is a flatter supply curve, which will be cutting or intersecting and crossing the y-axis, and it will touch the extended x-axis on the left side. There ES is greater than 1, and also unitary elastic supply, that means when the supply curve is supposed to start from it seems to start from the origin. There again, ES equal to 1, all these. So point or geometric method, that's very important. Now, some short questions can be there from this chapter supply, which can be based on your understanding of the concepts. Like, can the supply curve be negatively sloped? See, generally, the supply curve is positively sloped. You know the reasons behind that. But in case of a decreasing cost industry, it becomes an up and a downward sloping supply curve, because it becomes possible to supply more output at lower average cost. At a lower average cost, it is possible to supply more output, and then we find the supply curve is downward sloping. Now another question, again understanding based, conceptual, or high difficulty level question. See, I'm just giving certain hints of some examples of certain questions. Like, because of cyclone in a coastal area, the seawater covers a lot of rice fields. This reduces the productivity of land. How will this affect the supply curve of rice of that region? Again, I repeat, because of cyclone in a coastal area, the seawater covers a lot of rice fields. This reduces the productivity of land in that area. How will this affect the supply curve of rice of that region? Now, here we find that productivity of the land of that region gets decreased or reduced. That is why the production of rice will be adversely affected. Production of rice will decrease, and so definitely the supply will decrease. Price of rice remains the same, but supply of rice will decrease. So it's very easy to depict this through a diagram where the supply curve will have a leftward shifting. The supply curve will shift towards left. Now, another question. Suppose a diagram like this is given to you. Where the diagram is such that three supply curves are drawn in the same graph, and all the three supply curves start from the origin. One is a very steep one, a steep upward sloping supply curve starting from the origin. Another one, a supply curve which is starting from the origin, but it as if it seems to be making an angle of 45 degree with the x-axis. Another supply curve, steep, it's an upward sloping straight line again from the origin, through the origin, but it's a flatter one. Now you can be given a question, rank their price elasticities. Now this is a tricky question where all the three supply curves will have the same price elasticity of supply, and that is equal to 1. All the three will have unitary elastic supply, because we know that when a supply curve starts from the origin, then ES is equal to 1. So this kind of question can also be given. Okay, so I have discussed something regarding supply chapter. Now let's focus on market mechanism. You need to know the basic thing, that is, when does equilibrium occur? When is equilibrium point achieved or attained? Why? When demand curve cuts the supply curve, demand curve intersects the supply curve, that is the equilibrium point, and the price at which demand is equal to supply, the price at which demand curve and supply curves are intersecting each other, that price is called equilibrium price. This is a basic thing. Then different questions can be asked based on this basic thing, and suppose increase in demand, decrease in demand, increase in supply, decrease in supply. Also, if it can be specified in the question, like demand is perfectly elastic, demand is perfectly inelastic, supply is perfectly elastic, supply is perfectly inelastic. This kind of question can be given. Now, instead of giving in the question directly that increase in demand is there or increase in supply is there, decrease in demand or decrease in supply, something like this can be given. But if a question is given, what will be the effect on equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity when number of firms increases in the market? What will be the effect on equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity when number of firms increases? Then you have to understand that when it's given in the question that number of firms are increasing, what will happen? There will be increase in supply in the whole market. There will be increase in supply. That means supply curve will shift towards right. Demand curve will be as it is, only one demand curve as usual. But the supply curve initially cuts the demand curve at a point, and there you can mark the equilibrium price attained, but then the supply curve shifts towards right because there is increase in supply in the market as because number of firms increases. Then from the diagram you can understand what happens. Demand curve as it is downward sloping, but supply curve shifts towards right. See, it's not something to mug up, it's not something to learn by heart. From the diagram only you can understand what happens there. Number of firms increases, keeping the other factors constant. The total supply in the market will increase due to more producers coming into the market. It will shift the supply curve towards right, and increase in number of firms does not have any impact on demand. Demand will remain the same. So demand curve will remain unchanged. And then from the diagram you can find out that equilibrium price falls, but the equilibrium quantity rises. So this kind of question can be given where you need to realize that when this condition is given that number of firms is increasing, what will happen? Supply will increase in supply. Another one, price of inputs increases. When price of inputs increases, what happens? Supply decreases. When price of inputs increases, then the cost of production increases, profit margin decreases, and that is why the suppliers get demotivated, discouraged, and they supply less quantity. So there will be decrease in supply. That means supply curve will shift towards left. So in this case, the supply curve will shift towards left. Again, from the diagram, you can understand what happens. An increase in the price of inputs does not have any impact or effect on the demand. Demand curve will be as it is, downward sloping. But the supply curve will shift towards left. So demand curve remains unchanged, downward sloping, but the supply curve shifts towards left. And so equilibrium price rises, but the equilibrium quantity falls. Another question from this chapter, like, new discoveries of oil reduce the price of petrol and diesel. New discoveries of oil reduce the prices of petrol and diesel. Explain their effects on the market for new cars. See, cars and petrol or cars and diesel are complementary goods because either petrol driven cars or diesel driven cars. So car and petrol or car and diesel are complementary goods. So with a reduction in the price of petrol or with a reduction in the price of diesel, the demand for cars would increase. Demand for cars would increase, and the demand. So what will you show in the diagram? Increase in demand. Demand curve will shift towards right. Will there be any change in the supply curve? No. Supply curve will be as it is, upward sloping, one supply curve. But the demand curve for cars will have a rightward shifting. Now, as there's a rightward shifting of the demand curve and the supply curve remains as it is, what will happen? Equilibrium price rises and equilibrium quantity also rises. So this can be a question. Another similar type of question. A severe drought results in a drastic fall in the output of wheat. A severe drought, D-R-O-U-G-H, you understand the meaning. A severe drought results in a drastic fall in the output of wheat. Analyze how will it affect the market price of wheat. Analyze how will it affect the market price of wheat. See, a fall in the output of wheat will be there because of the drought. A fall in the output of wheat would lead to a leftward shift of the supply curve for wheat because less production implies less supply. So supply curve will have a leftward shifting. There will be no change in the demand curve. Demand curve will be as it is, downward sloping, but there will be a leftward shifting of the supply curve. And as there is a leftward shifting of the supply curve, what will happen to equilibrium price? Equilibrium price will rise and equilibrium quantity will fall. So in this chapter, apart from this type of questions, you can expect question from price ceiling and floor price. Very important. Actually, the council question setters are very fond of giving questions based on price ceiling and floor price. So you understand what is price ceiling what does it lead to? That means what will be its effect, and also what measures can be taken to tackle that problem which arises because of price ceiling. Then floor price, similar thing. What is price ceiling? And please, when you are giving the diagram, when you are showing in the diagram, then show the correct diagram, like in the floor price. Floor price, the floor price is the minimum price legislation. That price will be above the equilibrium price to be shown in the diagram. Whereas price ceiling, that will be shown as a price below the equilibrium price, that is price ceiling or maximum price legislation. Now the effect of this, effect of floor price also, effect of price ceiling also, and what will it lead to? Either excess demand or excess supply. That you can find out in the diagram only. Whether it's excess demand or excess supply, it's not something to mug up blindly. It's not a matter of rote learning. It's not a matter of mugging up or learning by heart blindly. You can see the diagram when you are drawing the correct diagram. What happens? What does it lead to? Is it excess demand or excess supply? Then what can be the possible effects of these? That these two price ceiling and floor price are very important from this chapter. Now I move on to revenue and cost. So as you know, in production laws of returns chapter, in the chapter of production laws of returns chapter, the most important topic is regarding total product, average product, marginal product. That is laws of returns to a variable factor or law of variable proportions. That diagram, TP, AP, MP, that is very, very important, the most important topic from this chapter, where that diagram you should practice several times, because unless you practice, you can't produce the diagram, you can't make the diagram correctly. The demarcation of the three stages, you have to make the three stages demarcated in the diagram correctly. Then question can be given like three stages of production, the short run explanation. Question can be given relationship between AP and MP. Question can be given relationship between TP and MP. Then if you know the concepts of TP, AP and MP, the behavior of total product, then what happens to average product, what happens to marginal product in all the different stages, stage of increasing returns, stage of diminishing returns, stage of negative returns. Then in all these stages, what happens to TP, AP and MP? It must be very clear to you. Then any question regarding the behavior of TP, AP or MP in these stages, you can answer it correctly. Try to visualize the diagram very clearly. Try to visualize, then you can draw the diagram correctly. So this kind of question is very important from this chapter, production law of returns. Now if easy questions are asked, short questions, then that can be like, what is production function? What is short run? What is long run? What is short run production function? What is long run production function? These type of questions. Mind it, one thing I'm telling you, be sure that causes of the returns to a variable factor, this topic is actually not there in the syllabus. Causes of increasing returns, causes of diminishing returns, causes of negative returns, this topic, causes of the variable proportions law, these causes of different stages is not there in the syllabus. Yes, I have clarified it. It's this topic, causes of the returns to a variable factor. These causes are not there in the syllabus. So nothing to worry about the causes. Don't take too much of burden on studying and memorizing the causes. So this is about the law of variable proportions chapter. Now we will move on to forms revenue and cost. Revenue and cost, yes. If you concentrate on cost, particularly cost, that's very important, where those different concepts, total cost concepts, average cost concepts, the diagrams, very clear should be the concepts. The concepts should be very clear. You must be having a very sound knowledge regarding total cost concepts and curves. Okay, before going into the short run costs like this, TFC, TVC, TC, AFC, AVC, AC and then MC. Before going into that, Please study thoroughly the theoretical cost concepts and also the meaning of those. Explicit cost, implicit cost, then opportunity cost, private cost, social cost, economic cost, all these. Conceptual question can come based on these theoretical concepts. Then please study thoroughly the nature of TFC, TVC, TC. How is TC curve derived from TFC curve and TVC curve? Then when you are studying the nature and derivation of the total cost curve, study properly, thoroughly the reasons why is it you can derive like that. Why is the TC curve parallel to TVC curve? Why does the TC curve start from the same point from where TFC starts? So after covering this, now move on to average cost concepts and curves. AFC, AVC and AC. The nature of AFC curve, rectangular hyperbola, is decreasing function. Then AVC curve, U-shaped, the reasons. Why is the AVC curve U-shaped? Due to law of variable proportions. Initially AVC is falling, then after reaching the minimum point, AVC rises. Then AC curve derivation. AC curve derivation with the help of AFC curve and AVC curve. So these things must be very clear. Now let me discuss some short questions which can be high difficulty level questions based on your conceptual understanding. Like, do fixed costs affect marginal costs? No. The answer is no. Fixed costs do not affect marginal cost. Now the answer is obvious. The reason is obvious. Marginal cost means change in the total cost. Total cost in the short run consists of total fixed cost and total variable cost. But when we consider a change in the TC, total cost, can there be any change in the TFC, total fixed cost? No. Total fixed cost means total fixed. It's fixed. There is no change in the TFC. Change occurs in case of TVC only. Therefore, marginal cost implies change in TVC only. Thus, fixed costs do not affect marginal costs. Now, another question. How can you give an estimate of TVC from the MC schedule? Suppose certain MC values are given. How will you determine the TVC values with the help of these MC values? It's very easy. When we add up the MC values in a cumulative way, one after the other we are going to add, then we get the TVC. Because TFC, again the same reason. MC means change in TVC. That is why by adding up the MC values chronologically, consecutive MC values, when we add up in a cumulative way, we get the TVC values. Next question. Is it ever possible for the short-run total cost curve to start from the origin? Generally speaking, no. TC curve does not start from the origin because when output is zero, when the output production is zero, no output is produced. At that time also there is total fixed cost for the fixed factors, like for purchasing the land, making the factory, building factory shed, factory office, all those fixed factors. Already the total fixed cost has been there. So when production has not yet started, that means when output production is zero, then also that TFC is there. And we know TC is equal to TFC plus TVC. Yes, when output produced is zero, then TVC is zero, total variable cost is zero, because no output is produced implies no labor, no variable factor was employed, and that is why TVC is zero. But as TFC is already there even when output produced is zero, so TC curve cannot start from the origin. So the answer is this. Next is, if total output is zero, what will be the short run total cost? Same answer actually, in a different way the question can be asked. If total output is zero, what will be the short run total cost? When total output is zero, then short run total cost is equal to total fixed cost. Okay, another question. Marginal cost is influenced only by the variable cost. Give reasons. Same answer, but the question is different, but the same reason, same answer. Another question. All short-run average cost curves are U-shaped. Do you agree? Yes or no? Give reasons. All short-run average cost curves are U-shaped. No. Yes, AVC curve is U-shaped due to law of variable proportions. AFC curve is U-shaped due to law of variable proportions. But if you think about AFC curve, if you consider average fixed cost curve, is the AFC curve U-shaped? No. AFC curve, average fixed cost curve, is a rectangular hyperbola, decreasing function, declining function. It's a rectangular hyperbola. So we can't say that all average cost concepts and all average cost curves are U-shaped. So I have discussed certain questions from this cost chapter which can be conceptual or high difficulty level questions. See, once again I have to say that nothing becomes high difficulty level questions if you understand the topics and the concepts with proper understanding. If you have the sound knowledge, then nothing is that much difficult for you. Yes, from this chapter cost you can expect a numerical sum. For the numerical sums, some guidelines are required. If you know the guidelines properly, then any numerical sum given to you, you can solve it. The guidelines like TC is equal to TFC plus TVC, number one. Second, when output is equal to 0, TVC is equal to 0. When output is equal to 0, then TC is equal to TFC. Then AFC is equal to TFC by output. AVC is equal to VC by output. AC is equal to TC by output or ATC, average total cost and average cost same. ATC is equal to TC by output, or we can write ATC or AC is equal to AFC plus AVC. In order to calculate marginal cost, we have to subtract the total cost of the previous unit of output from the total cost of the current level of output. In that way we get MC. Again, another thing which I have discussed a few minutes ago, that marginal cost, if the marginal cost schedule is given, the values are given, then we can get the TVC values just by adding up the MC values in a cumulative way. So if you know these guidelines, then any numerical sum based on cost is given to you, you can definitely solve the numerical sum. It can be a question of 4 marks, it can be a question of 6 marks also. So you can solve it correctly if you know these guidelines properly. That's it for today. In this session, I have discussed regarding supply chapter, market mechanism, and cost. Yes, in revenue chapter, in the part of revenue, from this revenue and cost, that's the easier part of this chapter compared to cost. In revenue, you need to know what is TR, what is AR, what is MR. Average revenue is equal to price in every form of market. There can be a question that which revenue concept is also called price. Why? Yes, average revenue concept is also called price because AR is equal to TR by Q. TR is equal to P into Q. So TR by Q means P into Q by Q. Q and Q gets cancelled. So we get AR is always equal to price. Okay. Now a question can be given like these are very important or common questions. Nature of TR, AR and MR under perfect competition. Nature of TR, AR and MR under monopoly or imperfect competition. See, nature of TR, AR and MR under monopolistic competition is very same like in case of, or we can say similar to the nature of TR, AR and MR in case of monopoly. Yes, there's a difference between the nature of AR and MR curves in case of monopoly and monopolistic competition. In case of monopoly, AR and MR curves are downward sloping both, but are inelastic, whereas in case of monopolistic competition, AR and MR curves are a little flatter, that means elastic. So you can be given a question regarding the differences between the AR and MR curves under monopoly and monopolistic competition. So from revenue part, that's easier. Very predictable questions or very expected questions can come. That's it for today. In the next session, again, I will discuss certain questions and the topics like tips and advices for you for some other chapters again. Thank you.